this auditorium, and specifically even during the lectures and definitely during the breaks, people are very close to one another. And, I can only blame myself. People try to talk to me, but I had my cell phone ringing and, some SMS, and, I couldn't devote attention to the people around me. So they were so close, but yet very remote, much more remote than in the old days. I'm less worried about becoming a slave of technology. I do worry about becoming a slave to work or to corporations and so on. There is a fantastic book the name of the book is by Ricardo Semler, a Brazilian author, and it calls the 7 days weekend. But actually it's not about the 7-day weekends. He describes the situation today and what is, the as-is state and what is a to-be state. The as-is state is very much like the opposite, the 7 days of work. Yes, and in between some sort of, so there is a complete blend of work and life. And certainly it's not about work-life balance. Certainly technology gives opportunity to keep you busy with work most of the time. And yes, here and there you get some life or some fun during conventional work time because of technology.
Can I say the word, please? I find it essential to highlight the negative things of technologies that were mentioned here. So one of the aspects is, for instance, helping us find a restaurant that we want, or even reminding us to drink before. I find this something, because I've experienced this with many friends when I'm visiting the US, for instance. I dislike this profoundly because it makes people completely adventureless. I mean, you wouldn't even take a risk of checking this hummus before you examine 50,000 people who ate hummus at this joint to see what they think about the pita. So people become completely risk averse to an extreme that is hard to believe. And if you mentioned that your daughter has friends in China, which on one hand is fantastic. But on the other hand, I think if we get information which is very, very customized to our preferences. For instance, when we were kids, we would go and we would look at various records and we would buy music and we would explore other things. My kids, or not just my kids, your kids actually, they do not do that because they just download music which using Pandora or the music genome is similar to what they're used to. So aren't they becoming more benign?
And again, one sentence, it's yes and no. They are connected to a much richer world. So in terms of exploration and surprises, they are much more exposed to surprises and exploration than before. On the other hand, yes, we might find ourselves with pupils going to school every day, programming the GPS, find me the route to school because they lost the ability to navigate. So yes, it's yes and no.
Can I mention? I just want to mention Foursquare, for example, a great social phenomenon that has led people to be stuck on the same place because they want to get more points and get to the mayorship position there. So it basically limits the number of places that you visit because, hey, why would I go to the next door pizza if I don't get to be the mayor there ever? I want to try to be a mayor here. I've seen some really interesting startups that do the exact opposite. They build a history of your locations, of your check-ins, and you get points where you explore, when you get outside of the routine, when you try new places. And the farther you go, for the longest time, you get more points, and those points get published on your wall. Your friends hear that you're an explorer, and you get ranked higher than friends. So it's not all evil. It all depends on how people use that and what the social norm calls for.
So, Alex, I'm going to give an irritatingly evasive and subtle answer, which goes like this. So science, I believe, is an absolute good, but technology is morally neutral. Technology can be used for good or evil, and what we think is good tends to be based upon the consensus norm. The problem with the modern era is that we've lost a sense of consensus about what's good or bad. So, historically, there is a sphere of consensus that everyone can agree on. There is another penumbra outside that is dubious. And beyond that, there is behavior that is marginal. Technology is changing human behavior so quickly now that someone of Alex's age can feel profoundly uncomfortable with the triviality and the superficiality of the connections people have on Twitter and on Facebook. I think I'm a little younger. I can cope with it.
You're doomed too, anyway. Silicon is going to replace you as well.
I do, but
so don't feel too.
But I have a form of accommodation. I have a personal inner space, which is the real me, a me that I do not, by and large, expose in my public performance. That is very much unlike, Jayson Pontin on Facebook, Jayson Pontin on Twitter. But I see the people who work for me at Technology Review make no separation at all between the private and the public space in a way that, for me as a manager, drives me nuts. I walk by and I see them using IM, using Twitter, using Facebook, when I think they should be working. But in that case, I'm being generation gapped by them. I'm generation gapping Alex by my, public and private separation. Technology changes so quickly now that the real problem is that we can no longer The reason why we're confused is that we no longer agree with any degree of specificity about what's appropriate behavior.
Okay, I think that one of the problems that we have today is relativism. And relativism means that we fear to say that something is good or bad, and we say it's in the eyes of the beholder or whatever. But I think that people like yourselves or like us, we will survive all the options that technology is offering if we have a strong enough personality. From my experience of life as somebody who's doomed, I think that not very many people have a strong enough personality. That's my experience. So I would like to turn the mic now to the public if people have questions to the panel. Any questions? Should I keep offending them? Or?
Okay, first thank you for this event. It's a great event and I enjoy it very much. And Alex, after you drink some whiskey, I want to take you into marijuana, okay? But the good reason of marijuana. So we all know that we can use marijuana into cancer and to help people, okay? And your task with me is just to give the limit and to use marijuana in the right way, okay? So when you are talking about technology, okay, it's the government and me and you and everybody in here, I think, to use the technology in the right way, okay? If IBM will create a database which can help my mom, okay, with her cancer, this is great, okay? And me and you need to, to limit the time of the computer and our kids on Facebook and give them some more added value, okay? So I think technology is great, okay? You just need to put the limits.
It was a statement.
After the whiskey, when he go into marijuana, he can answer it.
It was alak, it was not whiskey. Okay, so perhaps if there are no any questions still? Yes, please. Can you screen? Okay, thanks. So I will answer first, okay, because, no, first of all, I'm an educator, and I think the internet is relevant in two aspects, or three aspects, in fact. First of all, education is one of the areas that have not evolved almost at all since the old days of the cheder, if you wish, except the fact that we as educators are no longer allowed to hit our students. But other than that, I think the change is not dramatic at all. Second of all, I have currently the quietest auditoriums that I've ever had because my students are basically not in the classroom. They either surf Facebook or the internet or whatever. Third of all, we face a very strong phenomenon of students copying assignments. I think the internet is full of my projects from many, many years ago, and we have a strong effort trying to fight